seat up, we do have a microphone for there to make it easier to hear everybody.
Thank you very much. This is on the Heritage River designation. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, for a number of years now I've told you the M&R has a control agenda, with Muskrat Lake and the Ottawa River Heritage designation being the bridgeheads from which they intend to oppose their authority. After which the regulatory tentacles of a bureaucratic octopus will overspread and then constrict the entire region by first gaining control of and then regulating the use of all private property in the watershed. Indeed, both Renfrew County Planner Charles Cheeseman and JP2D consultant Brian Whitehead have already told us, after the Renfrew County official plan is passed, that 70–75% of the whitewater land area is going to be subject to what they euphemistically refer to as being constraints, which in plain English simply means more rules, regulations, government agency interference, and controls on the use and development of private property. However, what neither of these gentlemen are mentioning is the fact that the proposed heritage strategy for the Ottawa River 2009 read M&R Conservation Authority contains these so-called management articles, which are as follows. Article 432, integrity of cultural heritage features and sites. Where appropriate, the M&R will include terms and conditions on land use and work permits which support the protection and conservation requirements for cultural and heritage features and values. Article 433, integrity of natural heritage features and processes. One example of a database being maintained is the inventory of wood turtle sightings captured as part of the wood turtle monitoring program administered by the M&R. This gives the M&R permission to come onto your property and tell you what parts are off limits due to the sighting of an endangered species, which they can arbitrarily impose an exclusion area that cannot be used by the property owner. Article 521, annual reporting. The M&R Pembroke District will ensure that the year-round monitoring and reporting requirements of the GHRS, which is the Canadian Heritage River System, program are fulfilled, and an annual report using a framework-based checklist will be completed and submitted to the main office of the Ontario Parks branch of the M&R. Again, it should be noted that the Ministry of Natural Resources will be the ones administering the entire Ottawa River watershed once a heritage site designation has been applied. Well, there's no such thing as administering a designation, because a designation is just a term of reference. Instead, what the M&R are really going to be administering are the rules and regulations that will follow soon thereafter, because it's these kinds of so-called constraints that Brian Whitehead and Charles Cheeseman spoke of. However, we already have more than enough meddling government interventions in the ownership and use of our private property and our other affairs, and we certainly do not need any more. Nevertheless, so the Smeltgate series was published in 2011. The newspapers contained only glowing positives regarding the Heritage River designation, because until the Smeltgate series expose, everything was being portrayed as being wonderful. I mean, after all, it's only a designation, isn't it? And Champlain deserves credit, doesn't he? Well, the truth is, Champlain couldn't care less about the Ottawa River credit either, because he's been dead for the last 378 years. And I don't mean to disparage Champlain and what he stands for historically and everything he did. As for the increased tourism hyperbole, the Ottawa River is already known internationally. So exactly how a heritage designation will make the Ottawa River any more navigable with all the dams currently in place is very hard to imagine, because the fact is no one can navigate anywhere from Arnprior to Temiskaming due to the lack of funding from the government at all three levels. and as a result, playing the tourism card means absolutely nothing. Instead, fishermen, hunters, campers, and private landowners had better take heed to themselves, because their favored lakes and private property can be taken over, confiscated, or designated off-limits by the MNR if an endangered species is to be found therein. However, except for the odd ne'er-do-well, the people of our area have always had enough sense to leave such species alone. Thus, we don't need anyone telling us we can no longer enjoy the areas of recreation and pleasure we have used for generations, with no outside interference from the kind of heavy-handed intruders representing the MNR these days. And never forget that only a short time back, the MNR was claiming there were up to 80 species at risk in the Ottawa River watershed. Just recently, a Whitewater councillor told me they are saying that that 80 species at risk has now been increased to 123 species or more province-wide. However, this MNR endangered species list failed to include the most threatened species of all, and that is the endangered property owners of the entire Ottawa River watershed. As an example of what the MNR is capable of, we need only look to the ecological debacle they are responsible for creating in Muskrat Lake, and the total disregard they have shown for the protests of our people. And to think, this bogus, and remember this word, provincial government agency power grab all began with the bogus designation of Muskrat Lake as being a deep, cold, sensitive trout lake. Because without that designation, none of what has transpired here now would have ever taken place. These are the very same people who back in 2002 told Reeve Don Rathel, when he asked, "Why are you still stocking Muskrat Lake with trout against the wishes of our people?" The response was, "Because we control the lake, we can do whatever we like, and we don't have to ask permission from anyone." Well, I take exception to the statement from a public servant who is being very well paid by the taxpayers to be courteous and respectable to a sitting member of our municipal government, instead of an arrogant, overbearing functionary who doesn't really know his place. Well, I think, in any case, we have absolutely nothing to gain from this Heritage River designation, but everything to lose instead, because this Heritage designation is simply a Trojan horse deception, coming from MNR Central Planners in Toronto to Renfrew County Council, and from there it's being promoted by Renfrew County Council and the Pembroke MNR to the municipalities, and as many special interest groups as they can con into supporting their agenda. Well, I suppose there may be a few misguided souls out there who still believe in the integrity of the MNR, but I can assure you that I and everyone I know are not among those misguided people. So for starters, I'm going to tell you about an ongoing fraud that's been perpetrated on the Whitewater District electorate ever since 2002, when the MNR first designated Muskrat Lake as being a deep, cold, sensitive trout lake, imposed a bogus 300-meter property setback, and enabled a raft of bogus constraints on the development of private property. However, before anyone gets to thinking I'm going to rant on about the MNR and the rainbow smelt extinction and what the MNR has done to the lake, I'm not. Because I've already done all I need to do in that regard, and now it's time to move on to the next level. Instead, I'm going to relate what I was told by someone who is a very respected gentleman across Renfrew County, who has served as a Reeve of Cobham for 19 consecutive years and has a distinction of being the first man in Renfrew County history to ever serve 2 consecutive terms as warden. What he told me was that several county officials who have been working in concert with the Whitewater Council for years trying to get the Renfrew County official plan pushed through, but with the publication of Smeltgate series during 2011, the official plan was stopped dead in its tracks. Therefore, I respectfully request the members of this council and the people who came here tonight to pay close attention to what this man had to say, because this is something every concerned taxpayer in this room should know. And after tonight, everyone from one end of Renfrew County to the other is going to know as well. This gentleman told me that several highly placed Renfrew County officials, who shall remain anonymous for now, admitted to him at the open house official plan meeting in Cobham on May the 30th that they knew Muskrat Lake issues and setback ordinance were, quote, bogus, and had absolutely no scientific basis in fact, and yet here they were advocating that the Renfrew County official plan be adopted while knowing full well that parts of it were based on bogus information supplied by who? The Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources. This gentleman, however, was unable to attend in person tonight due to a prior business commitment. Nevertheless, he has assured me that if need be, he will make a public declaration to this effect, as well as name the two individuals who made these admissions to him. Gentlemen, most of us were born and raised here in this area. Our roots are here. Or am I here? Our roots are here, our cultural heritage is here, and the future hopes and dreams for our children and their children are here. But now the world we grew up in is changing at a bewildering rate. And for most of us older folks, the changes are becoming increasingly hard to adapt to. Nevertheless, we still have the ability to say no to things people from Toronto are trying to force on us. Therefore, let us resolve to retain our local autonomy and reject the attempts of big city planners and their agencies to take over control of our lands and our affairs, whereby they will be telling us what to do on the property we inherited from our beloved ancestors from generation down to generation. Therefore, speaking on behalf of the WRA and the majority of the Whitewater electorate, at this time, I respectfully submit to you the following request: that you rescind your prior approval for the Ottawa River designation in accord with the wishes of your friends, your neighbours, and the Whitewater electorate in general. And if after doing so, perchance in the future, another council may see a need to revisit this issue, then so be it. But I tell you now, that if the council does reverse their approval for this designation in times to come, the wisdom of your doing so will be long remembered by our grateful electorate, and indeed they will respect you for doing so now. That being said, thank you very much for granting the Whitewater Broome Presents Association an opportunity to speak to you here before you here tonight, and God bless each and every one of you. Now, here is a petition here. This is for council. Somebody give that to Darrell there. Well, actually, I better take a couple of. Here's a copy of a parliamentary petition that will be forwarded to Cheryl Gallant. Her name is on the bottom. This is official government form. At the end of the summer, when the House reconvenes, at which time we expect to have the majority of the Whitewater. Anyone in Canada can sign this petition. It is not on behalf of Coffin, it is on behalf of the people of Canada, because we were told, you don't own the lake down here, the people of Canada own it. And therefore, anybody can sign this. I was going to introduce the membership of the WRA tonight, but it's an interim membership and it's kind of in a state of flux. So I decided we're going to hold a meeting and elect a permanent one. There you go, here.
All right.
And here is I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's all right.
Here is the petition, and I would have liked to have it replicated for each and every one of you, but I didn't have the time. You get it replicated, take a look at those names. That's all the business in Taunton, all over Beachburg, all over the Whitewater, your friends, your neighbors, your relatives. There's close to 1,000 signatures in there. I guess that about wraps it up, and thank you once again. Is there any questions or anything? Other than that,
Hey, Rathwell, you'd like to say?
Yeah. Very good presentation,
thank you, sir.
Mr. Broome, and I believe this should go to committee and have a general discussion on it. There was a good discussion on it before it happened. There's a few things came to light, how this would be handled after, that wasn't available at the time that we voted the last time. And I'd like to see it go to a committee and have a discussion chair at the next committee meeting, and I'm not sure what committee you want to put it on, but I think it's worthwhile that we do that and get all the facts on the table and have a vote on it again.
Okay. I would suggest probably property growth and development.
Would that be a public meeting?
All council meetings,
Yeah,
all
would
committee
be a
meetings are public.
But public input as well?
Yeah.
Not necessarily unless you ask to speak as a delegation at it. The meetings are open to the public, but they're not public meetings. And the difference is that
Why didn't they have all the facts the first time they voted on it?
delegation to speak at.
Too soon.
Any questions for Mr. Broome, Councillor Memawakwa?
Just coming back, I'm glad you you brought those ideas or the information forward. I too agree with Reeve Raffle, and I think it needs to come back to council, be looked at, because there's different information has been brought forward, and I think there needs to be a thorough discussion brought and move forward on it. And I appreciate you bringing that information towards us, for us, and I think we need to digest this and discuss it. I think it's very, very important. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay. Councillor Trim and then Councillor Day.
Donald, how would you feel about us having a copy of your comments so that we can?
You want to give them back? I'm not talking.
Could we have a copy of your comments? I was listening, yes.
Absolutely.
I was listening, but I can't remember everything you said.
I can't remember everything I said either. So.
If you could give us a copy and then any councillor.
You'll have it tomorrow, Joey. Once you set 7 people, I'll have it on your desk.
We can copy. We can copy it here.
No, I'm not leaving this here. Yeah.
And then we can make the copies.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Day.
Yes, Don, I just want to thank you for your presentation. Well taken, and I support you on this. All the way, I think we have to look into a lot of things, and heritage is one, and designation, and I give you full marks for this. Thanks very much.
Can I just say one more thing? If I believed in my heart, knowing, and I felt I had all the facts, that this was just going to be a designation, I would have no problem with this at all. None whatsoever. I don't believe that at all. And there are precedents set throughout the province of Ontario for what has gone on once certain agencies have their foot in the door to do something. And for that very reason alone, if there's the slightest suspicion or thought perhaps that something untoward is going to go on later, well, I think that's cause right there to just stop the whole thing. Let's take a second look at it. And if we still don't agree, or we still can't see our way clear, I think we should just leave things as they are. That's what I think, and that's what the majority of the people here. And you'll see by the petition who those people are. Like I said, they're your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, and the general elect. I've been all over the place, and I have not heard one person in 2 years say that they approved of this. Not one. Anyway.
Deputy McBride, you want to make a comment?
Yes, I'd just like to say I too am happy that you're able to come along. As most of you know, I've been chair of the official planning committee for the last 2 years. And some of us are quite impatient that it was taking so long. But sometimes no action is a good route.
Absolutely.
Because things keep being turned up and understood better, and so.
Change too.
Yeah.
So I can say something that I know that Glenn Hopkins was involved in this heritage designation, and I just want to say that although I never met Mr. Hopkins, that I understand and that he was a very well respected man during his entire tenure as a representative, a parliamentary representative, and in no way would I try to disparage his memory or the good things he did. He was a much beloved man, and that's a fact that I have from some very good friends of mine, especially older people. And the fact that his name was connected with this gives me some pause, but I want to make it clear that for Mr. Hopkins is concerned, I'm not trying to disparage him or his efforts.
You're right, it did take on a political overtone because his opponent took the other road, so.
There's two sides to every sheet of paper.
Where the trails are going to go.
Okay. The petition you presented will be sent along to the official plan review committee. Okay. Thank you for your comments tonight.
Thank you.
Our next delegation is